of the individuals that's here that I said that I was going to call on is Brian. Brian, would you stand up, please? I mean, I hate to point you out, but
I don't have the money.
I don't know. Maybe you want to come up here and say a couple of words or something. I don't know. The reason why Brian actually has little to do with transportation. Okay. Except he ends up being a damn good friend. And what is really great about Brian is that he came to Princeton, he was recruited to Princeton, he left Princeton for probably the right reasons. I think I would agree. I mean, you know, I do.
We were poor.
You were poor. And then he came back to Princeton. He came back. He rich. He did. It's true. And you had to take it away when he came back, and he did get his degree, graduated, and then went to California. And how many schools did you start there? 15 schools. 4,000 kids. You know, just out there, just helping. And I guess Bill and I and whatever, we're and Fred, Fred and Brian went to school together at Perth Amboy, and we understand that the mayor of Perth Amboy is going to be here tomorrow, okay? And because of Brian, is going to be here to say, hey, if we're successful in Trenton and we can move it through Mercer County, we're going to go replicate it in Perth Amboy. Which is going to be the discussion that we try to do tomorrow. But okay, tell them how many threes did you make, and you were Rookie of the Year. What? Go ahead. Oh, here we go.
You want to hear that story, right?
Yeah, no, come on.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me here today, Professor. It means a lot to me, and with Professor Massey means so much to me. And the reason I wanted to come to Princeton is I was trying to rid that stereotype that jocks are dumb. And even if I was, I figured if I come to Princeton, I didn't think I would be, right? So I was trying to rid that stereotype that especially black athletes are dumb. So I figured if I had a chance to go to Princeton, that I could rid that stereotype and do something different, present myself in a different fashion. It's interesting, I had a good counselor in high school who gave me reading materials, and one of the reading materials that sticks with me today was a book called The Black Athlete, A Shameful Story. And it talked about the exploitation of so many athletes around the country that were going to college and not getting their degrees, and it became a vicious cycle. And I didn't want that to be me. So I did the extra work, I worked hard. I went to Lawrenceville during the summer of my sophomore year and my junior year. And I had a couple of visits up here, and Coach Carrill didn't have to do too much recruiting to get me here. Because once I stepped on campus, there was no other school in the country that I wanted to attend, even though I was recruited by 100 or so, both for football and basketball. And so when I came here, it was tough. Perth Amboy was not known for a great academic public school, but I did the extra work to make a difference in my life and my family's life, and I'm really happy that I put that extra work in, because when I came to Princeton, I survived. You don't realize how hard that is to survive.
It's not easy.
Especially for a kid coming from, a poor background. My father was a laborer, my mom was a domestic, and so we didn't have much money. And so I had to make a tough decision after my junior year, in which Coach Carnesecca offered me an opportunity to sign after my junior year, and this is in 1972, it's a long time ago. So I had to make a tough decision as to whether I was going to write the second junior thesis or turn pro. And I tell the story that my father was a good mentor to me, and Howard Cosell came to the projects. I grew up living in the projects of Perth Amboy and proud of it. Howard Cosell came to the projects and did a story on me when I was making this tough decision whether I was going to go pro or whether I was going to stay at Princeton University. And I wish I could do Howard Cosell's voice like my buddy Fred can do it. But on national TV, he asked my dad what kind of advice was he giving to his son on whether to stay at Princeton or to turn pro. And you gotta remember, my dad was a laborer. He worked hard, a lot of hours, and not much money for a lot of hard work. And he told Howard, I told my son he's got to take the money and run. So I had to make a choice over whether I was going to do that second junior thesis or take the money and run. And I guess that was a no-brainer. And so, and so I didn't really think I was that good. But I guess I was good enough where they offered me a 4-year guaranteed contract. And people were like, you're not that good, you go to Princeton. I said, well, Bill Bradley made it to the pros. And they called me the Black Bill Bradley, so why not me? And I used to tease Bill Bradley. He says, man, they always call me the Black Bill Bradley. You the white Brian Taylor. So I was fortunate enough to prove him wrong. Not only did I get Rookie of the Year, but I had 2 championships playing with Dr. J. I always tease Doc. You guys have seen him many times where he's doing his dunks. I said, Doc, they never show who's dropping you these dimes. He's grabbed me by the neck and squeezed it real hard. He said, that's okay, bro. We're still joined at the hip. So, I made the right decision, I think. When I came back in 1983, I had to finish up my second semester of my junior year. And boy, can you imagine how hard that was at 30? When I was traveling around the country, I wasn't reading the great books. So I had to come back and just had my first baby. I had 5 kids now, I'm proud of 38 to 28. But this is my first, and my wife said, go do your thing. So I came back and put my head in the books, and boy, I was nervous, believe it or not, up to the last courses to whether I was going to graduate. And I guess there's no Princeton people here, right? I was nervous because I took a gut, and I thought I was going to fail the gut.
I failed all.
There was an astronomy course, and it was harder than any other course I took. Anyhow, I was the happiest guy when I graduated in 1984. And then it's even tougher after that because when people ask me what grade, what class am I in, I'm really the original class of 73, and I graduated in 84. So I gotta stay in shape, so everyone thinks I'm 10 years younger. Anyhow, it's just so excited to be involved in education. And after my career, I went into business. I was one of the first value-added dealers for IBM. And we served the utilities, and we added the utility to the hardware. And I said, this is boring. I wanted to do something that my family were proud of me doing. I said, this is no-brainer. I got to get involved in education. So a friend of mine from New Jersey, Tom's River, both of us were teachers at the Harvard Westside School in California. I was the director of admissions and also one of the directors of admissions and basketball coach and a computer science teacher. And I did that for 10 years. And we said, let's take this model into the inner cities. They don't need us. These rich white kids, I'm sorry, don't need us here anymore. And he's a white guy, right? They don't need us here anymore. Let's take this into the Crenshaw district, the toughest district in Los Angeles. and change kids' lives. And so I said, I can't do that right now because my son is still here and I can't leave him, but in a year, I'll join you. So in a year, he offered me the position to become the director of the middle school, and my son had graduated and gone on to University of Oregon, so I had done my duty here, and so I went over. We started with 7 kids in the after-school program. He said, come on over, I got the summer school program, you can teach computer science, you can do the clinics, the basketball clinics, I got all geared up. I went over to the school, we had 7 kids in the after-school program.
Come on, Brian.
Like, what? 7 kids? Guess what? In 7 years, we were serving 4,000 kids with 15 students. The total they were in Los Angeles. Determination to change kids' lives. And I'm proud of that. So proud of that. And so, when I went into this year's Ivy League Hall of Legends, I said, I don't want to be known. I played basketball so long ago. I want to be known as an educator.
Come on, man.
Someone that inspired young people to shoot for their goals.
Right.
Dare to dream and take those dreams and change them into goals. And I developed a whole curriculum and I call it Shooting for Your Goals. And the reason I call it Shooting for Your Goals is how I get the young people's attention is by talking about how I have a place in history. And my place in history is that I was the last guy to lead the ABA three-point shooting. I shot 42% in 1976. Yeah, I'm old, I'm proud of it. And then when the two leagues merged, the NBA didn't even believe in the three-point shot. They didn't even institute that until 3 years later, in 1979. Fortunately, I had a coach that was ahead of his time. He was analytic thinking. He said, Brian can knock that shot down from 19 feet. I might as well stick him 2 more feet and I get 1 extra point for 3-pointers. So 3 years later, when they instituted the 3-point shot in the NBA, I was in San Diego. And my coach, the late Gene Shue, who just passed away a couple years ago, gave me the green light. So that year, I made more 3-pointers than 19 other teams, totals, in the league. There were only 22 teams in the league. For instance, the Knicks as a team maybe made 20. I think the Lakers made maybe 25 or 30. Yours truly made 90. More than 19 other teams in the league. So that's what I use to hook the kids in, get their attention about, I'm in history because I was a gunner, but I was a good gunner. And dare to dream, turn those dreams into goals, and I developed a whole system on how I teach them how to do the goal ladders. And that's what I'm doing now. So I'm involved with an organization, believe it or not. The young man that I built schools with in California came to New Jersey. He's built schools here in New Jersey, in Asbury, Neptune, Plainfield, and also up at Patterson, serving 3,000 kids, and I'm doing consultant work for them. And one of the things that I'm very passionate about doing is providing the same opportunities for these young people that I had at Lawrenceville during that summertime. It made a difference in my life. Changed my mindset, and I want to change your mindset. And so I pledged that I would help change these kids' mindset by developing summer programs for them. This year they're not having, I won't have the ability to have them do sleepovers here at Princeton University, but I'm developing a program where they're going to be here on campus, and hopefully I'll be able to teach them about AV, the technology, and I'm working on the tougher Professor Massey to teach him about mathematics and also about developing an algorithm that rates the best players in the game. And I'm a little selfish about that because I want them to start with the ABA's top 30. And the reason I want them start with the ABA's top 30 is because I wasn't in it. So we're going to devise an algorithm where perhaps I could be in one of the top 30 players in the ABA's history. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.